Welcome to our broadcast. Good to have all of you on the program this morning, wherever you're joining us from. Happy and delighted to have all of you here. Share the live for us and smash that emoji button. Yesterday morning, this time we were heading to Kaikan, and later on in the afternoon, we were heading to Paramakatoy. But here we are, and privileged to be in studio with you guys this morning. Yet another broadcast as we edge closer to the September 1 general and regional elections here in Guyana. You know, that's what all the talk is about, and we're just happy that you guys could be here with us, and we can talk a little bit about those issues and some allied issues as well as we head into this new day, folks. It's Thursday, believe it or not, the 28th day of August. They tell us somebody somewhere in the world is celebrating a birthday today that I know. Happy birthday in advance. Who it is? No. Great friend of mine, Isa, is celebrating a birthday recently on the 23rd. And he is extremely worried about this election. I was telling him just last night, when you buzz me and you worry, when you call me, you worry, you get me more anxious. Well, you get me anxious because, you know, I'm not anxious. I am not anxious at all. This is about putting in the work on the ground, door by door, village by village, community by community. And that is what took us yesterday to Kaikan. This is Region 7, and then Paramakatoy in Region 8. Had a fantastic time. Had a really great time with the residents there in Kaikan and in Paramakatoy. Some very, very lovely, beautiful, beautiful people. You know, had a really, really great time. And, you know, let me be the first to say thanks to those folks who made our trip possible. Made our trip as beautiful as it was. It was so beautiful. Good to have all of you here with us this morning, as I said, and we're still dotting some I's and crossing some T's on our side, but nonetheless happy and privileged to just have all of you with us this morning A very, very good morning to all of you. I think we had some public meetings happening too. A lot of things, a lot of trains running on parallel tracks. A lot of trains running on parallel track. And one of those meetings I saw at my Coney just overnight, I saw the leader of the opposition, leader of the APNU coalition, People's National Congress Reform, or Norton, talking about the things that we need to do to move this country forward and to put our people first. To put our people first. So let's start there, folks. Take a look. Take a listen.
To keep people in poverty so that they can come, give handouts, and control people. We must reject that. We must ensure that we have the resources to live and live a comfortable life. And that is what we set out to do for all the people in this country. We want to see you have proper health care. Don't tell us that you're building hospitals. I said before, a hospital is not mainly a building. A hospital is intended to be a medical service in which there are doctors, nurses, equipment, and drugs. They're celebrating opening hospitals. The one they opened at Lima Essequibo. Yesterday, somebody went there. They had no oxygen and the person died. What is the sense of having a large building? But the key things that make it a medical service are absent. We're saying to you, we will put resources into doctors, into nurses. We will do the things to retain them. We will ensure that there are drugs in the hospital and the required equipment. Because our aim is to deliver service to you, not a building. It is better off if you can go to a place where you have all the services than go to a fancy building in which you have none. And that is the problem with this government. They focus on building buildings because it allows them to make money through corruption. We will do quality buildings, but we will ensure that the buildings are part of a service rather than an aim, an end with corruption in mind. So Manchester and all the villages can look forward to us having plans that ensure that the village is sustainable. Every village should have adequate recreational facilities. Every village should have places that children can engage and have quality entertainment. Every village should be able to have cultural programs so that the talent of the people can come out. I recall coming here in the early 80s, late 70s, and you had at least 2 or 3 extremely good dance groups. People practicing the art of singing. This government pays no attention to culture, and we will restore culture to our communities, because a people without a proper culture are people in trouble. We're saying to you as well that our sportsmen and women matter. This government contributes little or nothing to athletes. But then when those athletes do well, they turn up at the airport as if they contributed. We're saying to you, once you become a national athlete, you will be sponsored by the government. Coaches will be sponsored by the government. So athletes, coaches, and people involved in sport can live a quality life. Our whole focus is to give people a quality life. When we talk about our rent to own scheme, is to give you a quality life. We're saying we're going to build houses. You pay rent for them. And when the rent covers the cost of the house will become yours.
Yep. Welcome back, folks. Peace and power. Peace and power. We gotta live good in this country. We gotta live good in this country. They're telling us they've already brought more FPS. So these are the big production ships churning out all of this oil from our country, or they are going to have some more online very shortly. More oil producing. Why is it more Guyanese not living better? Why is it more of our Guyanese brothers and sisters are not living better? Too many of us, too many we got live hand to mouth. What is it with that? What's it with that? What's this thing about keeping people in poverty? That's what Mr. Norton is articulating with these people-centered development policies. And this is the direction that we got to go. If we can move this country forward, this is the direction that we will have to go in. But we'll get a chance to touch on some more of that a little later on in our broadcast. But let's touch on some allied issues, as I said, and then we're going to circle back to some of those very political issues as we head into September 1, 2025 rather, September 1, 2025. New Courtyard Hotel, Courtyard by Marriott, opened just on the apron, as it were, of the Cherry Dragon International Airport there to Mary. And, kudos to the folks in the private sector who make these investments, the true participants in the private sector, not the fake and fraudulent set. Those who put their money and they want an investment, they make an investment and they want to get a return. It's not charity. But by doing that, jobs are created and all of these spin-off effects. Kudos to those persons. But I want our people to be able to stay in these hotels. And not, as Timothy Jonas said a few months ago, not stay in terms of being a cleaner or a bellhop and so on only, but being able to work hard or being able to work. You draw a salary, you got some disposable income, you got a little money to spare, and you say, look, I can take a weekend, me and the old boy, me and the old girl, or by myself, I can take a weekend for myself and rest and recuperate. You all know what our rest after hard work means? You're going to wind up. And that has its place. I ain't knocking something that I like doing privately, winding up and so on. I ain't knocking that. But people must be able to go and rest and recharge. That's such an important part of work. Rest is not something separate. It's something that you have to do if you're going to be productive. We got to be able to rest. How many of you had some rest recently? Too many of you are resting right now. Need to see some more of you all on the ground. Folks, Monday, the 1st is election, 1st of September. Make a plan to vote early. Right? I'm going to go and rest early. Right? I'm going to vote early. Please and thank you. Make a plan to vote early. And not only you vote and you rack back, you go in your street, in your village, side street, in the avenue, and you ask, Cousin Thelma, you vote yet? You vote yet? Savitri, I see you up, down in this yard the whole morning. You went out yet and put your vote for APNO to move this country forward? Find out. Don't just be content that you're low vote, but ensure that others too. Sometimes the polling place is a couple corners away. You might got a vehicle, say, I can get a drop, I could get dropped. But I ain't dropping you for vote for PPP. I ain't dropping you for vote for PPP. Up no all the way. All the way. So, you see this kind of people-centered development policies that you heard Mr. Norton articulating there? That will enable our people not just to work for these international brand hotels or internationally branded hotels, but also to be able to enjoy that kind of, you might want to call it fine, what have you, accommodations. You know, enjoy that too. Enjoy it. This is the fastest growing economy in the world. And if we can enjoy there the Marriott in our existence as Guyanese, in our entire existence, we can't afford a day the Marriott or Aiden by Best Western with First Lady got your place. You know the whole thing top to bottom. What we doing? What we doing, Sandra? Beatrice? Seymour? If you can't take a room, Beatrice, you and the old boy. You can't take a room, Edward, you and the old girl. What is it? What kind of life is that we living? So, as I said, kudos to all of these places that open up. We want our people to be able to benefit. They said this establishment, Courtyard by Marriott, the 20 million US investment, 150 rooms at the Tamari, as I said, near the Cherry Jagan International Airport. Right? They're already saying they plan to put 75 more rooms. 75 more rooms to that. One of them rooms got your name on it. Don't just pass and watch and say, oh, look, development by? It's not development if you can't stay inside. How is that development? You could only watch it from outside. You could only watch it from outside. What kind of development is that? I remember being told when Prado first landed here. I went to the US a couple of times in the last 3 years, and I never see a Prado. Prado seemed to be just a Guyanese phenomenon, maybe a Caribbean Prado. A colleague of mine had a Prado, and he said a man came up to him. He said, "This is in the earlies. They just come here." He said, "Mister, me can touch him?" No, we just want you to touch it. We want you in the driving seat, owning. This is the fastest growing economy in the world. We can touch up. I want you to own it. That's what we want. With our people-centered development strategy and policies by the extension. So the private sector people who made this investment, kudos to y'all. Anyone take nothing from y'all, nothing at all. And then a sad turn now to this story that we've been following. Very, very sad turn in this particular story here, with this mother that was killed and the reputed husband, the estranged husband, what have you, turned out gun himself, child wounded. This is Tikadai Solomon and Alroy Solomon, and then their 10-year-old son, who was injured and is still, I'm told, receiving medical attention. Said he was in a very serious condition. I felt it when I watched that video where I think residents or passersby try to render assistance, and you hear that little boy say, "My father shoot me in my belly." Jesus, that thing, I could only watch it once. That young boy, young Solomon, 10 years old, he said, "My father shoot me in my belly." You must pray for him. Pray for the whole family. Their lives irrevocably changed irrevocably changed. When I heard that child say, my father shoot me in my belly, he killed my mother, something like that. We don't need lip service, Women's Day and whatever day they put to recognizing the strides made in the elimination of violence against women and girls and boys. Oh, we got an administration. They got those days. They got you got abusers all. You see, they parading as being part of the solution. The perpetuators would come and smile and say they're championing liberated and strong women. The perpetuators. We need real change. Not cosmetic change. Real change. And I believe that you got a bunch of people, right? You don't get everything, but you got most of it who can bring this change. And I unabashedly, unashamedly say APNU can do it. And encouraging all of y'all to say the same thing with your vote on September 1. We've had 5 years, it's just cosmetology. People are more interested in slimming down and looking nice for Vogue magazines and so on. That has its place, PPP, but we want to fix problems. I learned many years ago, leaders and leadership must fix problems. Must not just complain about problems. You got to fix. And it's a cosmetic government, you know. You got a couple of things billing. There's a lot of cosmetics. Yesterday in I almost said Aishalton. All right. In Region 8, Paramakatoy. Big word. I was talking to one of the representatives there from the community, and she said they refurbished a health center. And she said when she saw the photograph of the thing in town, she said, wow. When she saw the photograph, but she said when I come home and see the actual thing, she said the thing I saw in the photograph had a big glass outside and, you know, a lot of glass and looking glamorous. So when I come home and see the one window, the actual thing, that's the PPP for you. That is the PPP for you. And then another member of that community there, Paramakatoy, pointed out, she said, look, they bring an ambulance, look it over there. You'll see that story later on in the morning. Look, watch. They give you ambulance. This is the ambulance coming park up there. It need diesel, we ain't got none. It need a driver, we ain't got none. Watch the ambulance over there. Acceleration is not the same as progress and development. You want ambulance, take ambulance. You gotta really fine print, you know. When you're asking, you gotta ask specifically. Be specific. We want an ambulance with a driver and fuel that is working. A working ambulance with fuel and a driver. She point. You'll see that story on our page later on in the morning on social media. She point. She look. These residents, they give me ambulance. Look, the ambulance park up there since it come. Right? We ain't got no diesel for it, and we ain't got no driver much. And we yet even know when they put in the diesel and the driver, if the thing is start. But them guys can say promise delivered. You ask the ambulance, you get ambulance. Some of you praying, you ask for husband, but you don't say. You want to work in man, home only man want to work. Ambulance like the ambulance are going no place. We got to get policies and programs that work. Not just cosmetic, not just cosmetics and ribbon cutting and so on. You know, and it's when both gonna fall. When people look back, they see, right? Hindsight is 2020. Everything is look clear. Now people in this family, the Solomons, detailing, what they consider to be years of abuse. Right? Tikadai Solomon, they said endured years of abuse, financial and physical abuse, before she was murdered. Moved into this Charlotte Street premises where she ultimately lost her life. Previous home being burned. She apparently faced repeated threats. And apparently her paramour her husband was very controlling. Very controlling. And what did all of that lead to in a lasting relationship? It never does. Sadly. Tikadai lost her life. And her 10-year-old son now is scarred. And I hope, well, I shouldn't even say hope because we know it can change Monday. We're going to dedicate the resources that this child is going to need to become a productive citizen. Hindsight, look back. That's like some of y'all, years of abuse of the PPP, but y'all, you just want flashing lights and sequence jacket and people moonwalking. Years of abuse, you look back and see. Years upon years upon years of abuse. We got done that. Right? We got it done that. So now people look back and the hindsight is 2020. Folks, if some of you even watching us right now and y'all in things like that. Right? If it's an old head in this business, you realize you're not going to have smooth times all the time. Right? But if all you got is sorrow and, you got to watch that. And if you know the beating done happening, right? Get out before it's too late. And law enforcement got to come out of that habit of saying, we ain't getting a man and woman story. And more than that, you got to stop taking pay as well. Stop taking pay. Got to stop doing that. Because some of them take pay and look the other way. Stop taking pay. You get a man and woman story, and then this is the sad result of that. This child now scarred for a long time. I don't know how much he saw. But clearly, if you've been in an abusive relation for years, that child may have seen a lot. And then on this fateful day, child needs a lot of intervention. A lot of intervention. I saw a child from Camarang found wandering somewhere in the East Coast. Said some woman brought her out into fire. And she was trying to get back to Camarang. A child. Fastest growing economy in the world. Yesterday, as we segue into some political issues now. Yesterday, as I said, we were at Kaikan, this is Region 7, Upper Kayuni, and then we were in also Region 8, Paramakatoy. 4 plane flights later, here I am. Here I am. Every time I go in one of those small planes, I say, never again, Father. And then there I am, doing it all over again. Doing it all over again. But we got to do what we got to do to move this country forward in that sense. go and meet with our people, talk with them, listen to them. So we were in Kaikan, and we were talking about with the residents there about the itinerary and the village itinerary, what they're doing, and heritage coming up. Their heritage starts on around the 20th. They were telling us, and they got November. They got some games happening there in November. A football match happening, and so on. So we were seeing when it's a good time to come back and be part of some of that. And then we were talking a little bit about when schooling for the kids and how they're doing and so on. And they said government pays for the kids to be transported to the school at Parima, which is the closest neighboring village, twice per year. This is for the September term and the December term, right? Twice per year, pay for them transportation-wise. And if they want to see their kids, because this is living dorm, you can't go to school every day. You cannot come and go from home, rather, every day. If they want to see their kids for April, they have to go to the school or the kids would come home, right? But listen carefully now. So I said to them, how would the kids come home? This is a landlocked area. Can't come by boat or so. A landlocked area, Region 7. Right? They shocked me personally. They said the kids would walk home. So they have my attention now. I said, how you mean? How you mean let's walk home? This is Kaikan. So they'd walk. I said, how far is Parima from here? Because we were in Parima a couple of weeks ago. Parima is 3 days walking. 3 days walking. I said, how you mean it's 3 days? I said they walk nighttime because we were in blistering sun. They said, no. Nighttime, jaguar and tiger and say, I'm going with you. Snakes and so on. It's more hazardous to walk nighttime. So they walk whole day and camp whole night. I said, what's the age of what's the age of the youngest child? Right? Neville, Jacqueline, fastest growing economy. I ain't talking about long time. I'm talking about now time, short time. I said, what's the age of the youngest child? They said the age of the youngest child is about 11 years old. 3 days walk. Folks, this is not a time when we had plenty. And we've always had plenty. What we've had is bad management. Ain't we always had gold and diamond, magnesium, bauxite? Ain't we always had that? Timber, rum, sugar, rice. That's not new to we. We just discovered that. But now we got the hile. Now we got the hile. 3 days. And I picture that. An 11-year-old. They said when they get close enough, the parents would go out and meet them and bring them in. Like you walk out of 50 miles and walk them in the street. That thing broke me on the inside. 3 days walking. See, more say talking Nancy's story. Hey, Nancy's story to the people of Kaikan. It ain't Nancy's story to them. And that's why these issues are so real. That the Prime Ministerial candidate Director of Finance was talking to Kaikan about. How together we can make this, not just mouthing stuff. Being indigenous has been a lived experience for Jurita. Okay. I heard a man stood in Kaikan and said, I go vote for you. You understand. The first time we listen to somebody who sound like they actually understand what it is to be indigenous. The complexities, the challenges. You think you understand or you overstand? Which party there? You under, you over? Lot of issues. You know, I heard a little pushback yesterday from the leader of the Alliance for Change. You ever wake up good? Huh? Good. Many months ago, Nigel Hughes wake up good. Somebody said, come fight Church for me. And while he's doing the run for president. You know, my mother would say to us as kids, right? Be careful what you ask for. You always want it, and then when you get it, it's something else. Be careful what you ask for. I heard Mr. Hughes yesterday saying split the vote. Because under his leadership, AFC is about to be, what is the word? Y'all give me a word. AFC is about to be, give me the word. So he fighting up bad. And he is acknowledging where he has brought this party single-handedly. And with a cross from Jamaica named Alston Stewart, where he has brought this party and some others, where they brought this party, and he says split the vote. Yeah? AFC is about to be, I see y'all using the word be dismantled, to be disqualified, demolished, right? To be deemed obsolete, all the above. Under his leadership, and he run out now to say split the vote. Give me something so we look bad. Folks, hold the line. Folks, hold the line. Hold the line. I see some of you are seeing expired. 4% AFC is about to expire. Francine said about to head into extinction. Glendon says, Gideon says it's about to be, Gideon has a nice word there, vaporized. All the above. During those protracted negotiations, they went on too long. I told you all I would have took 30% and worked with Mr. Norton from a year ago. But these boys more bright for their own good. They're too bright. In those negotiation process, the party I was with then, I saw some of you now seeing a different side of Jarita, saying, wow, look, Jarita come into our own as a national leader. Wow. You know, I see that party say to the negotiation party, don't put she. She's not to be considered as a prime ministerial candidate. You are too bright for your own good. Naomi, always facetious. Naomi wants to know what is a AFC. Don't put she. And I've been to countless communities over the past few weeks and saw indigenous people embrace Dreeters, being one of their own, young, bright, talented, understanding their issues, and said, finally, a champion. We got our own champion. Finally. And here's a party, of recent with such poor vision, saying she's not to be considered as prime ministerial candidate. Right? When I see the result for them, I can say justice has been done. Yeah, went good. You ever wake up good? Yeah, I went good, good, good. Moving on. Don't split the vote. Hold the line. Which political leader in the right mind would say, don't split the vote? Which political leader in the right mind would say, let me aim for a hung parliament, a minority government? There is nothing for an opposition in a minority government in this country. You have a minority government of either the PPP, especially the PPP. Let's say they're as a minority government. You think they get time? They're spending like if they got 65 seats in the National Assembly. They're operating like they got 65 seats in the National Assembly. Which political leader worth their salt would say, let us aim for a minority government? The first thing, a minority government is not an exact science. You can't say if you give PP1, give APNU1, give PPP2, you know, you can get a minority government. It is not an exact science. How could you shoot for that? Say 5 years over, sir, vote for them. 4 years over, sir, vote for them. And you one at the back, sir, give it to we. And there's a minority government. I never heard so much madness in my life. Like I heard yesterday morning. You know? But it just said somebody could be bright in one area and totally. All right. Moving on, folks. Moving on. Minority government. No party should gain a majority because of executive abuses and really. A minority government could mean you in another election in a couple months. You think I want to do this over again? This madness? I'm looking forward to the second when James and them boys fade into oblivion. You know, if I never meet or hear from some people for the rest of my life, I know I'm missing nothing. Minority who? Folks, let me hold the line. Let me hold the line. Please and thank you. No minority government. Let us hold the line. APNU. AFC all the way. APNU. See, the thing's still in. It takes some time. Y'all forgive me. APNU all the way. September 1. Minority who? Trump and the tariffs and so on, the post office. So let me get a handle on things and then we're going to see we go from here. You know? We had a rally in Linden. Last evening. And them boys promising. It's always painful to listen to what's his name? Always painful. Promise for factories. I'm still yet to hear like a coherent articulation of wind policies. You know, I still hold in for coherent articulation by any member that they have. I still in a holding pattern. You know, I'm still in a holding pattern. Said like a mill, aluminum plant, and glass factory for Region 10. Yeah, I think it's just, you know. I wonder, like sugar, what is the world market price for aluminum? What is the world market price for glass? And competitively, how much we could produce it for? I'd like to see some of the reasoning on that. Not even the studies, just roughly. Right? Just roughly. What other countries are producing aluminum as? At what price? Remember, we have been talking consistently about how the world market is paying 40 cents, US cents per pound of sugar, producing rather, for 40 cents, and we're producing it at 140 cents. How we can be competitive? That's why Gaisuko is the way Gaisuko is. What is the world market price for aluminum, and how much could we produce it at? And same for glass. Same for glass. What could we produce it at? So the thing has to be sustainable in and of itself. And then be able to, if it can do that, you're providing the jobs. Unlike Gaisuko, you can't just be flinging money in it just to keep it afloat because people are employed in it. Right? It has to make sense. So I'd love to see some of the rationale on that. You know, I'd love to see rationale on that. And then I think he went on to say there'd be zero tolerance of police killings. I would say zero tolerance for all unlawful killings, not just police killing, but all unlawful killings, and zero tolerance for corruption. This is interesting. This is rich now. And like a month ago, we had a big scandal about WhatsApp messages for Lamborghini and who should pay what price and what is the actual duty. And it wasn't like a zero tolerance for corruption. You know, okay. Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Listen, I ain't gonna say Azruddin them ain't gonna win a seat or two, but they ain't gonna win the election. So let's move on. Let's move on. And as we unwin, I saw what's happening to Azruddin's sister Hannah. You know what a lot of people don't realize? What a lot of people don't realize is that leadership does not radically change people like a magic potion overnight. Like you start off as a frog, ordinarily, and then when you get into some leadership position, suddenly you become a prince. It doesn't work like that. I have found in my humble experience, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong, right? Y'all tell me if I'm wrong. I have found that leadership does not conceal. Leadership reveals. It don't hide who you are. It shows. It shows. Right? It shows people exactly who you are. You know, and I've seen a lot of commentary on social media about the attitude of Hannah Mohammed. You know, a lot of it in today's press. The president of the Ghana Islamic Trust, one Abdul Alim Rahim, he's publicly calling out and chastising Hannah Mohammed. He said that she has been spreading lies about him on social media. Right? He said that she alleged that he's a wife beater and that he lived for 20 years rent free. Right? And he has been calling on her to provide the evidence. Right? He has said that her tactics show that she's unfit for leadership. Yeah. I'll be happy to see the end of this whole political season. When we were nice people, you know how he says, this is Mr. Rahim. He says she's unfit for leadership. You know? Unfit for leadership. I'm going to be so happy when we get to the other side of this whole political season. I'll be so happy. Please and thank you. So GCOM had a presser the other day, and I was listening to them try to explain some election processes. And I swear to God, I find like rocket science would be easier by comparison. You know? Rocket science would be simpler than the way they try to explain some of these processes. I mean, look, I wonder if like the EU and the Commonwealth, especially those first world countries, the USA, they must laugh at us when they see how we gotta bend over backward and skip through hoops for the election comprising of people under a million. The whole thing is so convoluted and complicated. Under a million people. 5 years later, and we are no closer to getting it right than when we first began. So this whole tabulation process for this upcoming election and sub-region and subdivide and somebody and supernumerary and all these. I like the US system. By the close of poll, you start getting some exit poll results. Or when you start getting some projections. And these are hundreds of thousands of people who are voting in communities across the US. And in some instances, as soon as the poll closed, them boys done got some projections. You know? Vishnu with all this convoluted stuff. Poll will be escorted by police and party agents, scanned and displayed on screen, and numbers read aloud, and results compiled at the district and national levels. And folks, I'll tell you all this. Like I had the breakdown early. We get in our results Monday night. And I would hazard even Tuesday. Even the day after. I saw some folks that by on the 22nd of September, we mightn't still know. If we don't know by this 22nd, y'all know what's happening. Y'all know what's happening. But watch out for it. I can tell you how early. Them boys can want claim victory quick. I know them is the secret training passy. So we got to watch them. We got to be vigilant. They haven't done yet, you know. Folks, this is the time we have to be most watchful. This is the time. You can see some fireworks. You can see some fireworks. I ain't talking about the fireworks at this bridge pouring concrete. I saw fireworks last night. I said the bridge finished, cars flowing over. It's some concrete I hear the pouring. I mean, like, little concrete getting poured. These people from the West must think we really backward. Little concrete pouring and big fireworks. For the apnea-inspired bridge, big fire. You know? Political fireworks, watch it. All kinds of machinations. You will hear some propaganda out in the PPP like you have not heard before over the next few days. Right? Over the next few days, you will hear some stuff like you didn't hear before. For instance, like I think I heard the Attorney General. This one was funny to me, right? Calling for he talked about mature leadership. Nanlal. I said, what? Mature leaders. Right? He said they need to have diplomatic maturity due to the Venezuelan border dispute and so on. Diplomatic maturity. Well, if you arguing that and you arguing I want to Irfan got that. Diplomatic maturity. I have seen the Venezuelans wipe the floor with Irfan. Buy and sell Irfan to the point that he didn't even know he'd been trafficked. Buy and sell Irfan for our investment in Argyle. What did we get for it? For that investment in Argyle, what did we get for that kind of investment? Right? And with the diplomatic maturity that Mr. Norton has, right? That kind of diplomatic maturity, Mr. Norton told them, he told them, do not go to Argyle, right, without condition, and given Maduro relevance. They come back, oh Lord. He gave Maduro gold. This is Irfan and black cake and expensive rum and all manner of things. And yet Maduro persists. Yet Maduro persists. And these are the sanctimonious gangsters, the real sanctimonious gangsters. Typical form. See, y'all must have diplomatic maturity, you see. Y'all must have what we don't have, right? Y'all must have diplomatic maturity. Y'all must have it. Oh, yes. Diplomatic maturity. I can see some of y'all say, where y'all get it first? Then we get it. You know, when you all get it first. They get diplomatic maturity. Right. You'll answer me. Then, of course, I tell you, you can see and hear a lot of things during this period. Not only about diplomatic maturity. We see a lot of things during this period here. I saw the police run out. You know. The police run out. Higgins says, any attempt to disrupt September 1 elections will be swiftly and decisively dealt with. That the Ghana Police Force is fully prepared to deploy officers across the regions to protect citizens' right to vote and to maintain peace before, during, and after the polls. When our campaigners have been harassed, our candidates have been harassed, and other political parties, where was this Ghana Police Force ready to protect citizens and maintain peace? You know, where have they been all this time? That's what I wonder. Where have they been all this time? But like since the observers are here, them boys gotta say something, you know. They gotta say something. And as we wrap up this morning, I did see Mr. Norton talking about some of what is needed to win, for APNU to win. I think he said we need to bring out 10% more of our base than we did the last time. And that's why it's so important. We were talking about earlier in our broadcast. To not only ensure there's a plan for you to vote early, but for you to ensure that your neighbors, members of your community, vote as well. And I hope you can make that sacrifice for us. That if they need a lift to the poll, you can say, I'll give you a quick spin. That you pitch in there to help to get people to the poll. You see, big rallies are one thing. Your ground game for election is another story. Your ground game for election is quite another story. And this election is going to turn on who can do that. You got the ground game to bring out your supporters to vote. Right? Bring out your supporters to vote. Please and thank you. So I think I heard the articulation by Mr. Norton that what the APNU is looking to attract is about 10% more, right, of the base than voted the last time. And that will pitch them boys, unseat them boys, unseat them out the place, 10% more. Are you hearing? In other things, we're watching to this ballot case brought by the For Ghana movement, challenging the exclusion of ballots in regions where the party did not field candidates. And we've been listening to lawyers argue that the decision of GCOM to exclude, quote unquote, exclude them from the ballot in those regions they aren't contesting with candidates, right, violates their constitutional rights. While the government, they've been contending, the PPP, that parties must meet statutory requirements to be placed on the ballots in those areas. We should have a ruling on August 29th, which should be tomorrow. So we're going to watch to that. August 29th, that's happening on that side. And then, Yep. Folks, as we say our goodbyes this morning, I want to leave you with some of what Drita told the folks at KAICAN. This is the Prime Ministerial candidate for APNU, Drita Finance, former Member of Parliament and former shadow for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Finance, rather. I'm tired and it's showing. Finance, shadow for finance ministry, shadow for finance period, over the last 5 years. Some of what she told the beautiful folks at KAICAN just yesterday, folks. Again, pitching about how we're going to move this country forward. Take a look. Take a listen as we wrap up.
Country right now that we have trillions of dollars. We have trillions of dollars to spend on the people. But what we're having right now is those monies being directed into the pockets of a few people. A few wealthy people are getting all the resources, and the ordinary Guyanese throughout this country is not getting those resources. So we're going to redesign how those monies are spent. And we're going to make sure that we will be putting the money into your pocket because you deserve that. And the first thing we're going to do, when it comes to, when it comes to the carbon credits, how much carbon credits is given here? $18 million. Now we have, if you look around, you're going to see a lot of green, a lot of forests. We have a government in place right now that came to the hinterland and saw that there's a lot of forests. So they went ahead and they started collecting monies for the forest. It's called carbon credits. It's basically saying that because indigenous people, because our ancestors protected the forest, preserved the forest for generations, and it's intact right now, that we have a forest that is valuable. Now, the monies that are being collected from that, only 15% of the money is coming back to indigenous communities. Only 15% is being spent throughout the country in indigenous communities. I am saying, and I have made a public statement, I've been speaking about it for the last months, that we need to be making sure that the monies from carbon credit comes to the indigenous people. So the first thing I'm saying is that we are going to be given at least 50%, that's the starting point. At least 50% of the money coming back to the people. When we talk about giving back the money to the people, I know usually the money, the $18 million, would go to the Tushaw and Tushaw Council. I am saying we're raising it to 50%, and that 50%, we're going to make sure that we give the money directly to you. Each and every one of you will be receiving money from the carbon credit. That's where the 50% will be coming. Yes. So that is one of the things. And I know that Tushaw may be saying, well, if you give the money to the people, then what's the council going to have? We're going to be giving the council a separate budget. We're living in a country in which we have this budget alone. And I want people to understand, this is why I handle finance. 5 years in Parliament, I handled finance. I never made a mistake with a number. I don't make mistake with numbers. When we went into office and when we were handling budgets before 2015 to 2020, our largest budget was $300 billion, and that was a 2019 budget. That's the largest budget we had. 2019, $300 billion. Today, under the PPP administration, this budget, the 2025 budget, is $1.382 trillion. You see the difference? So for this year's budget is $1.082 billion more than our budget that we had, than our largest budget that we had.
Where the money going, folks? Where the money going? Where the money going? This is a long time. Long time gone, short time come. Thanks for joining our broadcast, folks. That's our time for today. That's our program. Thanks for being here. Beatrice and Gavin and Naomi, Lester, and all the other beautiful folks who joined us this morning. Please and thank you. There's a rally happening this evening in Madhya. So we're going to cede our time to that. Folks, that Madhya rally for you to hear some of what's taking place there. But all things being equal, we're going to see you guys back tomorrow morning. That's being said, we're going to see you tonight on that rally. Good? Really live tweeting during the rally with you wonderful folks. That's the time, folks. Stay safe. And that's our broadcast. We're going to see you guys on our next broadcast. Stay safe. That's the time.